In Module 3, we dive into a rich discussion of language preservation and extinction. In a face-to-face class, I might ask each of you for your predictions on how the global distribution of languages, as shown in Baker's text, may change by the year 2050 by taking this week's readings into consideration. According to Hunkin, language extinction takes place because of linguistic imperialism. Many nations, including China, are making efforts to preserve minority languages, including Tibet. However, as we discussed in the readings by Ma, many Tibetan parents are resistant to schools teaching their children their native language. In short, they believe their children should be learning Mandarin Chinese, the dominant language of China proper. Hunkin cited Eckert, who said that the hegemonic influence that comes from economic, military, and political systems brainwashes parents into thinking that the best future for their children is only via dominant languages like Chinese, Mandarin, and English. Could this be the case? It's going to be interesting to see what the future holds for countries like China, with hundreds of minority languages, and like New Zealand, where there are community initiatives for Samoan retention and maintenance in terms of minority language survival. This past summer, 2018, I was fortunate enough to be invited by the U.S. embassies in Jordan and Israel to be their keynote speaker, and I spoke about TESOL and the arts. I remember when I arrived walking on a street called Ben Yehuda. Eliezer Ben Yehuda can be said to have reversed Hebrew language loss by changing the use of Hebrew from strictly religious and biblical use to use in everyday vernacular contexts, to buy groceries or to do your laundry, a language to unite the Jewish people returning to Israel. In other words, he wanted to see a shift in what Ferguson talked about as diglossia, and this is discussed in Baker, where Hebrew used to only be used in religious domains and was expanded into everyday vernacular domains. This was not uncontroversial. I hope you'll read more about this and other cases that you're going to study in Hong Kong, Ireland, Mexico. What languages do they use, when, and where? What languages in those contexts are perceived of as at risk or endangered? And what efforts do you think are appropriate and feasible to reverse language shift, as discussed by Joshua Fishman and referenced in your book? I hope you enjoyed this week's readings, and I'll see you next week.